inspection of the week, this much visited market will be closing its doors. As I sit here, riding the mechanical pig one last time.
The days of university seem a distant memory to Reggie, where smashing back a few pints of snakebite with Johnny Two Shoes by my side were all the rage. We would then scramble to our lectures the next day with a terrible hangover. Johnny, the poor lad, always thought he could pull a bird, but he had no gift of the gab, and I'd always take his offer a drink but never give him a little kiss in return. The poor bloke looked a right plonker at times, and of course there was the case of trying to learn something along the way. So, does 2 Point Campus bring to life these lovely days of university, or is it just a reskin of 2 Point Hospital? Well, grab yourself a snakebite, put up a chair, and let's have a little chat, shall we? So let's answer the big question on whether 2 Point Campus does things differently enough to 2 Point Hospital to warrant your hard-earned cash. Thankfully, Reggie here can report that yes, 2 Point Campus is a lovely little sequel that removes many of the frustrations of its predecessor. You see, in 2 Point Campus you get to build and create your own university or college for you Americans, and so as you can imagine this includes lecture theatres, specialist rooms for teaching, along with all the other little things required in management games such as building bogs, staff rooms, decorating the corridors with bins and vending machines. But here is where things become quite different, and that is down to the very nature of running a university. You see, you get cash from your students doing well at their grades, and they in turn do better in their grades by not just having the best teachers or items in their little learning rooms, but also by being happy. And to make them happy, you've got to be providing them shag pads, bars, concerts, food, alcohol, places to dick about in. And so really what you're doing here is you're building in 3 dimensions. One being the learning, one being the student welfare, and finally one being the aesthetic of your university with amenities and whatnot. In particular, to really increase their happiness, you can schedule special events throughout the year. As an example, you can take over a lecture theatre to play a shit movie, or if you like, you can host a DJ set in the student bar. This gives a proper nice little bump to their happiness and ultimately makes them work harder in class. Now, one of my biggest frustrations with 2 Point Hospital was that the busier your hospital got, the more doctor rooms you had to build to deal with the ridiculous increase in patients, and you just ended up with this huge big backlog, NHS style, making things looking very messy indeed. Well, here rarely do you need to focus on just one individual, unless of course you're offering private tuition, but instead you cater to much wider groups where 8 or so students might attend a lecture all at once. Now, the interesting part is that on year 1 you have it pretty easy, as you'll get a few students in for a desired course such as learning robotics, but the key difference is that they stay with you in year 2 and indeed year 3, which is when they then graduate. So as each new year occurs, you'll have a load more applications joining you. By your 3rd year, your campus will be awash with students all learning different things, trying to get laid and causing general mess. I will say that whilst this is a welcome change, it can feel a bit hectic, just like 2 Point Hospital did, and so designing the right campus is key to help this flow. Now, one of the joys of 2 Point Campus is in the non-serious nature of the game. The courses revolve around things like learning to be a knight, a clown, a chef that uses these oversized cookers, or a place for nerds to create giant robots. It really is brilliant in that the humour that gets injected into 2 Point Campus doesn't mean the game is watered down in its challenge. The budgets you get seem large at first, but as you grow, you'll soon see the need to build multiple lecture theatres so multiple classes can take place all at once. And just like that, people, space becomes as premium as a Manhattan tower block. But for a large price, you can expand and buy more land so that further development can be made. Now, Reggie here found the early game quite easy, but that's because it does such a wonderful job of teaching you the basic mechanics. But I can assure you, people, things will get hard. That's what she said. And so here we have a game where student well-being is at the very core of making money. And unlike 2 Point Hospital, where decorating rooms and corridors felt a bit of a chore, here you do get the sense that it actually matters. I spent great pride positioning windows for peeping toms, water coolers next to the bogs, and hot dog stands outside a student dormitory. I very much wanted my students to suffer, you see, because I'm a total arsehole. However, staff also need care too, so a staff room where they can all chill out and slag off their students is required, as well as giving them the training to allow them to teach other classes or give them other boosts, such as being an inspirational speaker. And it's not just the teaching staff you need to think about, as you'll also be hiring up mechanics who can then upgrade rooms with their own little training, and indeed assistants who might run the food stores and libraries and whatnot. There really is so much that gets opened up that Reggie found hours being tucked into this game, which is exactly what a great management sim should do. Now, the building tools in question deserve great praise, as they feel powerful and also incredibly easy and intuitive to use. I'd find myself building a room only wanting to make changes mere seconds after, and so picking up items and moving them about was an absolute joy. More so, the building of items can now take place outside of the main building structure, unlike 2 Point Hospital that felt very confided. And so I find myself now building little benches and little park areas so the students can all flirt with each other in the hope of getting laid. With that, the more you do little side objectives for students, or if they do particularly well in their results at the end of the year, it means you get kudos points. These points help enriching the lives of your students and staff further, as they provide unlocks for particular items. And there is plenty here to unlock, mark my words. More so, the games give you some great visualization tools so you can help decide on what is needed most. I've said before in other management sims that feedback to us players is key, and 2 Point Campus not just presents a challenge, but they give you the bloody tools to meet those challenges head on. Bravo, people. And so on to the graphics then. Now, sadly, I'm not going to rave home about this one. Yes, it looks neat. It has some wonderful animation supporting it, but it does look, I think, absolutely identical to 2 Point Hospital. And to be clear here, Reggie is not complaining about the art style, because that absolutely smashes it out the park, and it really brings home the absurdity of some of the courses your students take. No, boys and girls, my issue here is that things haven't improved at all, with no nice touches being included to the graphics engine. Things like better reflections would be good, or little markings on the floor as it gets worn down by the messy shoes of a student, or even just more particle effects here and there when shit hits the fan. At the moment, everything just feels and looks so clinical. Nothing is wrong with 2 Point Campus in how it looks, of course, but knowing that 2 Point Hospital came to us, 4 years ago, I was just hoping to see the graphic engine fly with a little bit more beauty and a little bit more pizzazz overall. In terms of performance, Reggie here plays on a PC, and as you can see, it runs buttery smooth without any issue. Optimizations are good, although I did come across a few little pathing issues where some of my people would get stuck, but simply holding the left mouse button over them allowed me to pick them up, plonk them where I wanted. The UI is also very clean, which helps when so much is going on, but there are times I feel the game provides you an icon without actually explaining what the it is. I couldn't tell if this red exclamation mark here, for example, was a bug or whether it was something I was supposed to be doing. So indeed, the graphics are basic. The animations, however, they are wonderful. When I think of the sheer number of objects in this game, it feels like they all have some kind of interaction with the students and staff, and so just watching them go about their day is proper mad fun. The overall feeling then, graphically, it does alright. It feels like a reskin to me, very much like 2 Point Hospital, but I do know the gameplay is certainly more polished and perfected. Now, sound was one of my favourite features of 2 Point Hospital, and thankfully 2 Point Campus picks up where it left off. The musical score is incredibly catchy, almost infuriatingly so, as you log off and continue to hum the tunes around the house. However, the big winner for me will always be both the radio and the announcer, who continue to offer some great little one-liners or little speeches. When the announcer asks for all doctors to return to the hospital, I nearly spit spat my snake bite out. It's full of these wonderful lines, and my only concern so far is that already I've started to hear them repeat quite a bit, so potentially there's going to be monotony abound. The ambient sounds, however, they are superb, with little plops of the cursor as you pick up shit and drop items, or indeed the sound effects of nearly all the items that you buy when they are used by the people, right down to the little arcade machines you place in the dormitories. So then, 2 Point Campus, is it worth your money? Well, if you like these types of games, then absolutely. $40 feels just about right enough for me. I wouldn't pay more. I'm not sure what it costs on consoles, but $40 just about right when I think of the gameplay changes there for you, and you will plough many hours into creating your own magnificent university. But a word of caution, people, because it also does feel very samey if you play 2 Point Hospital to death. Graphically, it feels like a reskin, and so much of the magic is taken away, and dare I say, there is a feeling at times of, I've been here and I've done that, even though you know that not to be true. It's got a few bugs, hopefully they can get ironed out, and yes, it's definitely a challenge when at times it can almost feel a bit too hectic, but Reggie did enjoy himself, and that's what it's all about, and he's certainly going to continue playing this for many more hours of a great game which many other management games would do well to learn from. A definite B grade from me then. And so until next time, boys and girls, have a lovely day. Reggie out.